All right, welcome back to I Could Be Wrong. Again, I have Justin with me. Got our brother from another mother, Jason, with us. I believe he's going to go ahead and be able to talk this time. Not going to be on mute. And we're going to go ahead and do another fan pulse check. You guys ready to jump into it?
Yep.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's go ahead and jump into it with Jason here. Boo that man. He is a Las Vegas Raiders fan. And
I'm proud.
yeah, just kidding, Jay. Just kidding. All right, so before we jump into the questions, same thing I asked Justin. My first question for you is what made you become a Raiders fan?
Well, who won the Super Bowl in '84?
All right, I think it was the Raiders.
It was the Raiders, and I was born in '85. So it was technically that was the year they won the Super Bowl. My father was a huge fan, so I was draped in Raiders gear from birth.
Okay, so it was just kind of thrust upon you from birth. I got you, and you acclimated because I have never seen you waver. So, all right, cool.
And I haven't seen a Super Bowl that win yet.
Well, maybe you're the curse. Just kidding.
Very possible.
All right. Just kidding. All right, let's go ahead and jump in.
Turn into a 49ers fan.
No. We don't want that. No. He's not cursed the Raiders long enough. You stay over there. All right, let's go ahead and jump into it here. All right, so talk to me about this upcoming season and your take. So what's your grade for the Raiders offseason and a couple of reasons why you'd give that grade?
I'd say an A-. And a few reasons is our coaching change. Granted, half the team wanted Bisaccia to stick around. The other half of the team was ready for a change. See something brand new. We changed coaching, and I accepted it. At first, I was a little bit kind of hurt, too, because I was one of those guys that was leaning towards the Bisaccia keep. But, I can't defy the Patriot way, that was brought in, especially with the history given, behind that man. So I accepted it, and I've watched his offseason move. And let's face it, we got Aaron Rodgers' favorite target, over the offseason there, and then Chandler Jones, and a couple of new additions that we just, that were great. Not to mention we locked up some important players like Renfro. I think we had a banged up, really great offseason. Something to be proud of when you watch your team not do much during the last couple of off seasons, but high draft picks that aren't worth their pick. Unfortunately, like a Cleveland Farrell, it wasn't worth his pick. But this draft, we picked some guys that I think at their value. We really picked some guys at their value. Maybe had some steals like Zamir White, in the 4th round. So just a great offseason. I can't be more excited about this season because of it.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. A-. I like it. I think
he's being modest.
You think he's being modest? I think Devontae Adams.
It's a modest grade.
Let's call it what it is. Grade. Devontae Adams is the number 1 or number 2 wide receiver in the league. Derek Carr can sling the rock, so I think that's that's obviously a match made in heaven because they already played together in college. So I imagine they'll pick up their chemistry. I would have to agree with Justin. I think I don't know about A. I would go A, strong A, maybe an A plus. I think here's why I hold off on an A plus in my opinion. I want to see how Josh McDaniels, how he does. Coming off of, he's got a little bit of a history. Obviously, he didn't do very well at his first stop. Went back to New England, and then committed to go be the Colts coach, and backed out of that, right? And that kind of makes you wonder about his decision making sometimes. Like, does he make emotional decisions, which as a football coach can sometimes be a good thing, but sometimes it can be a bad thing. He doesn't have Tom. He's got Derek Carr, but that's not Tom Brady over there going out of the field and leading that offense. So Tom Brady covers up a lot of stuff. So that's all I'm saying. I think though I would say I would go a little higher than an A- as well. I would say an A, maybe an A plus, depending on how McDaniels turns out.
Well, I'll say being on the
All right.
Bisaccia side of things, I would have went with an A plus had we made all the same roster additions and kept our coach, because I already knew what he was capable of. I seen what he was capable of, and he could lead that team. And so knowing that he would lead us into the playoffs, he definitely would lead us to the playoffs again, especially with the roster moves. Whereas I haven't seen Josh McDaniels lead a team to the playoffs besides on the offensive coordinator side of the ball.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
I got a quick follow. Oh, go ahead, Justin. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, Jay, I got a quick follow-up. Okay. All right. So let's say it's kind of similar to what I asked Justin when it hit down his outlook on the 49ers. Okay. Obviously, Devontae makes the offseason a big win for you guys. Let's say that you don't get Devontae, but you keep Bisaccia like you wanted. Okay. What grade would you give your team then?
Probably a B, probably B minus, man. Honestly, probably a C plus. To be honest, probably a C plus. Because that receiver bringing in Devontae Adams, I mean, that boosts our grade tremendously. Derek Carr has never had a true number one receiver his entire time. I mean, Hunter Renfrow, he made guys the number one receiver. He never had a true number one receiver. Not to mention probably the number one receiver in the NFL.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, I think Devontae makes the offseason, he makes that big of an impact. So what were you going to go ahead, Justin?
I'm giving him A plus. The coaching change is bigger than you guys think. I think it's bigger. At least I think it's bigger than Jason thinks. Even though McDaniels has a track record when he went to Denver that wasn't that great, and then he committed to Indy. I believe he's an upgrade over Bisaccia. I think it was a flash in the pan. They did win games, but let's be honest, they didn't win convincingly. It wasn't like they were beating teams convincingly. In a lot of cases, they were coming from behind and winning games last year. I do like the fact that Bisaccia was, at least structured enough and had the respect of the team to go out there and play every week and not just throw in the towel. But I just don't think that a special teams coach, a career special teams coach, is a better equipped head coach than an offensive coordinator with a championship pedigree. So I could be wrong about that. I could be wrong about that. But he did a great job. Quick. So let me go ahead.
No. Hey, all right. So not to take it off subject, but I want to ask you this, okay? Would you rather have John Harbaugh or would you rather have McDaniels?
John Harbaugh.
I don't know. I guess it just depends on the personnel of the team. I wouldn't want John Harbaugh with the Raiders team. They're not equipped to John Harbaugh's developed a style of offense like run heavy. They utilize the run game
because he has to
a ton.
That's because he has to. Yeah. Think about the team that he won. Think about the team he won the Super Bowl with, and Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco had one of the greatest postseasons ever.
I mean, trust me, I'll go with John Harbaugh. I mean, based on. I'll go John Harbaugh. I mean,
here's the reason
no
I'm
question
asking
about it. I'm just not sure what it has to do with it. That's why
here's why I'm asking. Before John Harbaugh became the head coach of the Baltimore Ravens, he was a career special teams coach. That's what he did. And then he got his. So that's what I'm saying. And I get where you're coming from, right? A lot of times.
How often does that happen?
How often do they get a chance?
All right, I understand.
So that's all I'm saying. I'm just saying, here's why I think special teams guys are really good candidates for head coach. And Jason can probably attest to this, why he liked Bisaccia so much. Special teams coaches interact with every single player on the roster every day.
Yeah,
There's like all the stars, like they have a relationship with the whole team. Whereas like, and I'm not saying that like the offensive coordinator like ignores the defensive players, but they don't have that interaction with them every day like the special teams coach does. And the special teams coach, they're really good at finding out what makes guys tick. And I think that's an advantage that doesn't get looked at enough. That's all. I'm sorry to go off track, Jay.
I mean,
we hijacked your interview, Jay. Sorry.
That's all right. I agree with your statements.
I mean, honestly, it was just I would still rather have McDaniel over Bisaccia. I mean, you just don't regularly find special teams coach. At the end of the day, these players do exit interviews. I'm sure that they're asked like their input on the coaches and stuff like that, and especially in a situation like this. And I think that if enough people in the building thought he was qualified for the job, he would still have the job.
I see that, and that's where you're wrong. You're wrong. Is actually the New York Times did an article, and so did other people about how upset the Raiders Nation was. The actual team themselves with the coaching switch, they all backed Bisaccia. In that exit interview, the majority of them were backing Bisaccia, and they didn't get the decision because Mark Davis didn't want Bisaccia. He wanted a flash. He wanted a.
I mean, you know better than I do.
Recognition.
Hey, I mean, you know better than I do. I would still rather have McDaniel, just given the talent they have, the offensive prowess McDaniel has. I actually think they're going to be a pretty good team, as much as I hate to say it.
Yeah,
they got a lot of weapons.
All right. Hey, that was a good one right there. I like it. I like it. A lot of interaction. All right, cool. Let's move on to the next one, Jay. Obviously, we've talked about a lot of things that happened in the Raiders offseason. I think we know the obvious, but of the new additions to the Raiders roster, which ones, because we know there's probably more than one, but which ones are you the most excited about and why?
Well, besides obviously the obvious Devontae Adams and Chandler Jones, which I'm incredibly thrilled about. But here's going back to what we were saying, because the coaching change, I'm actually the most excited about Josh McDaniels because of what he could potentially bring to the table, because of his potential. That's what I'm most excited about as far as addition goes. And then there's another name that's kind of a sleeper, Jayon Brown. He was a longtime Titan. He's going to be one of the starting middle linebackers because we're playing that 3-4 hybrid. And, I think he's going to bring something to the table we haven't had. He's not as hard hitting, but, he can lead the team out there when there's no other leaders. He's going to be good in the rotation and just a wonderful addition that it's kind of slept on right now, but we're going to see this season. He's going to show you.
Okay. All right. I like it. I don't have any follow-up for that because I don't keep up with your roster enough. I'm going to be honest. Other than Devontae and Chandler Jones, I couldn't tell you anybody that they picked up. What about you, Justin?
Jason mentioned a name earlier that I watched some tape on, because I'm big on fantasy. I'm the fantasy guy for I Could Be Wrong, so this is something that I'll probably wind up doing an article about at some point. Zamir White, the 4th round rookie running back that they drafted out of Georgia. Georgia's a powerhouse school in college, and this guy had some really good games against some ranked opponents, some really good teams. He had some monster games. He had a game against Auburn and a game against Kentucky. I believe Auburn was ranked 15 at the time. Kentucky was ranked 11 in the game I watched. I watched some of these highlight tapes, and he's a chain mover. I mean, he's picking up 5 yards falling forward. So I'm excited to see, what he can bring to the table for the Raiders. And even from a fantasy aspect, the Raiders did recently decline Josh Jacobs' 5th-year option. So it makes you wonder, is he going to get some time early, so that way they know what are they going to get out of Zamir White? Are they going to get enough out of him to make him the replacement for Jacobs? He didn't catch a lot of balls in college, but neither did Jacobs. If you think about it, in fact, Jacobs was a backup running back at Alabama. I think the Raiders took a flyer on him out of when they drafted him. So Zamir White is a name that I'm excited to see for the Raiders as far as fantasy football goes, for sure.
Absolutely. Zamir White is why, and Josh Jacobs are why I'd rather have John Harbaugh than Josh McDaniels. You know, because of that running game.
He's pretty fast guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's quick. I think his running style is a little bit similar to Jacobs, but I think he brings more power. And even he hits the holes a little bit harder. It does take him a little bit to accelerate once he makes a cut. So if he's cutting and then tries to go back upfield, it takes him a little bit of time to accelerate. But I would like to see how he performs. I think he'd do well.
All right. I like it. Again, I don't know anything about your roster, so that's all right. All right, let's keep it moving here. Tell us something we don't know about your roster. I don't know if maybe it's a guy you already talked about or whatever, but who is a guy on the Raiders roster that people don't know about, but they probably should or they will by the end of the season?
Well, if anybody's been paying attention to the Raiders lately, we've had a lot of linebacker injuries. And guys that we put on injury reserve, which now we won't be able to play for the season for us. Micah Kaiser, Kyle Fackrell, both these guys are supposed to be our depth. Well, because of their injuries, a man by the name of Darian Butler at ASU is gonna step up to the plate, and this guy's gonna be a name I promise you you're gonna hear by mid-season, if not towards the end of the season. You're definitely gonna know who he is because he's gonna make a name for himself in the NFL. Just tremendous rookie. He's having a great camp. He had a great camp. He's having a great offseason so far with us, and he's really stepping up to the plate as far as the drills and whatnot that they're doing without the lack of linebackers. He's really stepping up to the plate and filling in the void.
All right, I like it. What was that again?
Darian Butler.
Okay, I'm gonna keep an eye out for that. Have you heard of that guy, Justin?
He's a defensive player. I don't pay much attention to them. I don't do defensive players in fantasy.
Well, there you go. All right. Well, in that case, then he might not be on your radar by the end of the season. But
I'll tell you another addition.
They play the 49ers late in the season, so I imagine we'll know his name at some point when they play the 49ers.
I'll tell you another addition that people kind of know their name of just because of where he came from. But Demarcus Robinson, from Kansas City.
I was gonna say that.
He's going to be a well-known name by the time he's done with the season because of Derek Carr and his ability to be open because of Devontae Adams.
I would say this. Some people probably know the name, but not enough people know the name. Hunter Renfrow. And I say it because if you think about some of the tight ends that McDaniel has that have had success in Josh McDaniel's offensive system, those are some stellar guys. Or not tight ends, wide receivers, slot receivers. Julian Edelman, Welker, these guys have had tremendous success. And I think Renfrow, he had a great year last year. So if people don't know who Renfrow is, they need to know him because he actually is going to make a huge impact this year, I think, especially being in the offense of McDaniel.
Would you say another 1,000-yard season for him?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
I agree.
Third and Renfrow. All right. Let's keep it moving. I got two more for you. Next one, looking at the schedule. I know one game that you're excited about is that beatdown before you go play the Chiefs in the last week of the season. But other than that, looking at the schedule, what games do you have as can't miss games for the Raiders this year?
Well, I'll start with every divisional game that we have, and more so this season than many seasons prior, because this season those W's that we're going to get, they're going to make a difference in that division tremendously. Right? Who's going to take that division? Right. The AFC West may be the strongest division in the NFL. So I mean, those games are circled for sure. Now, as far as the rest of the schedule goes, I don't really have anything they're all must see to me. They're all must-watch games. I'm a Raiders diehard. I mean, this Hall of Fame game tomorrow is a must-watch game for me. So go figure.
I can't stand you. Stop it.
You like watching flag
kidding.
football
I'm just
too, don't
kidding.
you?
I'm just kidding.
If the Raiders were playing, I would.
You know what? Here's what I'll say. Growing up in the era that I grew up, the AFC West was always one of the toughest divisions, and they always had great games. This is when Seattle was part of the AFC West still, when I was a little kid. I remember, Elway going against Steve DeBerg and the Raiders and all those guys. So I would say, I like to watch the AFC West divisional games, especially those traditional matchups. You got, Chiefs, Raiders, Broncos. Those are always fun games to watch. So I like it. I would say, obviously, I'm going to be excited to watch them play the 49ers. I would say because the AFC West is so tough and every game is going to matter, not just in the AFC West, but in against the AFC, because I see it this way. Obviously, there's only a limited amount of playoff spots. Not every team in the AFC West can make it. So you're going to have to beat some teams outside of the AFC West as well. I'm excited to see that Colts game against the Raiders with Matt Ryan and Jonathan Taylor and those guys going against the Raiders offense with Derek Carr and Devontae Adams. I think that's going to be a hell of a game. As long as everybody's healthy by the time they get to that point, should be really exciting. A lot of points scored. So I'm looking forward to that one. I'm looking forward to the Rams game. Hopefully you guys can beat them and help us out. But we'll see. What about you, Justin? Any games that stick out on the Raiders schedule for you?
Yeah, I mean, you guys pretty much touch on it all. The division games are going to be huge for all AFC West teams. And then I personally like, as a fan, I like watching my team against the best teams in the league. I use those games as measuring stick games, see kind of where my team is at, against the elite level teams. So the Raiders have a handful of those games, towards the end of the year. They've got the Chargers and the Rams in consecutive games. Then you move down a few to end the year. They got the Niners and the Chiefs. So that's a pretty tough 6-game stretch there where they got 4 really tough opponents. And then the Patriots aren't going to be terrible. They have the best head coach, one of the best head coaches ever. And the Steelers, even though they don't have Big Ben, I do believe they're going to be a pretty formidable team. So it's going to be a pretty tough stretch down towards the end of the year for them.
Yeah, for sure. That first game of the season is going to be an exciting game. It's going to be a big one.
Yeah,
right out
huge.
the gate.
Right off the bat, it's going to be like, woo.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I know where I'll be. I'll be at the poolside bar. All right. Last question that I have for you, Jake. And you touched on it. We all touched on it, right? The Raiders are in what a lot of people consider the toughest division in football this year. So knowing that, what do you feel is the Raiders' ceiling, and what do you think it will take for them to reach that ceiling?
The ceiling is the Super Bowl this year. That's the ceiling. I believe we're a Super Bowl contender with our new additions, and of course the new coaching staff, the winning pedigree that's there. We're a Super Bowl contender. So the ceiling is definitely the Super Bowl. Now, what it's going to take to reach there is definitely going to be, we're going to have to win, 4 out of 6 of them AFC West games. We're going to need to win a bunch of them AFC games themselves. We're going to need to make the playoffs and not slide into the playoffs like we did last year. We need to make the playoffs, and get that bye week. So that's the most importantly. And I'm really going to leave it at that. It's very, very short. It doesn't take a lot of thinking for me because it's just going to take winning. It's going to take winning to get there, and it's going to take winning the right teams. And really that's it. I mean, again, 4 or 6 AFC West games at least minimum to kind of beat that AFC West out. And those AFC games, like you mentioned earlier, are super important. We got to beat those teams too because of the way that new playoff setup is. You know, we don't want to slide in there either.
Yeah, I like it. I agree with you that is the ceiling for the Raiders. I will not deny they are, in my mind, a Super Bowl contender with the additions they made and the changes they made in the offseason. I would say that I think that obviously they're going to need to do really well in their division, which is going to be tough to do because it's a very tough division. And getting that number one seed is going to be definitely, that's just going to be tough just in general for any team. I don't know necessarily that they would need to get that bye week that the number one seed gets because we've seen some teams not get it and go on to win the Super Bowl. So I would say that for me, I agree with everything you said there. I would say the one other thing is, and this is with every single team, but especially a team that has a high-powered offense and they have some really dynamic players on offense. As long as they can go into the playoffs healthy and stay healthy, I think the Raiders are a legitimate threat to make it to the Super Bowl.
No doubt.
Ooh,
what about you, Justin?
I'm gonna take it down one notch. I think I think they got the ability to make it to the conference championship, but I just think that there's three teams right now in the AFC that are better than them. Overall, three for sure. I got the Chargers better than them. Overall, I think the Chargers are a better team than the Raiders. I think that the Buffalo Bills are a better team than the Raiders. And goodness gracious, why did I have a brain fart right now? There was another team I had in there.
Your second favorite team, the Bengals?
The Bengals, that is it. Yeah,
that's what I figured.
And not necessarily from an overall talent standpoint. I think the Bills are just have more talent on their roster overall, but they also have a lot of continuity. I think that you go with the Bengals now. They've also built that continuity, but I don't. From an overall talent standpoint, they're really, really similar, offense and defense. They've got really good wide receiver one. They've got good supporting cast. Top tier running back, but not stud running backs. I just think the continuity on the Bengals, a team that's been there, done that gives them the edge. And then the Chargers, they're just ready to take that next step, I believe. And again, it just boils down to continuity. So I would put them ahead of the Raiders as well. But other than that, I mean, I think the Raiders got a legitimate chance of beating some of the other teams in the AFC West and beating some of the other teams in the AFC out for playoff positioning. I think they are a better team than the Colts, for example. Better team than the Ravens. Better team than all of the other teams in the AFC East, other than the Bills. So, yeah, I mean, championship game, conference championship game.
All right. I disagree that the Chargers are better than the Raiders.
As do I.
You said something that people have been saying about the Chargers for the last 2 years, going on 3 years now, and that's they're ready to take that next step. Well, when the hell are they going to take it? What happens is their coach got it. Well, we'll see. You know what? I could be wrong. You could be right, or
I could be wrong.
Right.
It's Justin's third favorite team.
Or we could all be wrong.
It could all be wrong, and the Chargers will never take a step, or they take half a step or something. I don't know. All right, well, that's all I got. Hey, Jay, I appreciate you letting me take your fan pulse check on the Raiders. As usual, everyone, please don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment. Be on the lookout for that weekly content. Before I ask everyone to be kind, Jay, can I get a commitment that you'll hop on a few more of these, or do I have to bribe you or something?
No, I'll hop on a few more for sure. I appreciate you having me today, and I'll hop on a few more.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was painless.
Fun to banter.
Yeah, you didn't get beat up. It's the same thing that we do on Sunday, standing at the bar in the back in the back patio anyway. So,
Yeah.
let's put it on for everybody else to see. So, hey, again, I appreciate it, Jake, Justin, as always. I appreciate you guys joining. Last but not least, everybody, as always, please be kind, even the Cowboys
Even the Cowboys
fans.
fans.